It is Monday, January 30th. I'm Brooks Peck from Dirty Tackle, and you're listening to The Goal Mouth. On today's menu of bite-sized soccer news, Barcelona have a goal ignored. Bruce Arena picks up where he left off with the US team. Dimitri Payet gets his wish. An inopportune bathroom break earns a red card. And the African Cup of Nations gets down to the Final Four. Goalline Technology hasn't been around all that long, but with FIFA and many of the world's top leagues implementing it in recent years, it's become easy to take it for granted already. Barcelona had a reminder of what can go wrong without it, though. Trailing Real Betis late in the match, Barcelona scored a goal. The ball went well past the line before being cleared, and the referee basically said, "I'm going to treat that the way you guys treat your taxes, and ignore it." Luckily for Barcelona, Luis Suarez scored an equalizer that did count in the 90th minute, and the match ended in a 1-1 draw. But this incident will likely put pressure on La Liga to join the Goalline Technology party. Cost has been cited as a reason that they haven't done it to this point, but this may have cost Barca 2 points in an increasingly tight title race, and that's a big problem. Speaking of big problems, the US men's team played a friendly against a decidedly not first-choice Serbia team and could only manage a 0-0 draw. Granted, a January friendly under a new coach is hard to get too worked up about, but it's probably not a great sign that a team in dire need of World Cup qualifying points can't get a result against such a weak opponent. Now, that's not to say that firing Klinsmann was a horrible mistake, but that's probably how he's feeling right about now. Next up for the US is a friendly against Jamaica, and maybe they'll be able to score a goal in that one. Dimitri Payet has gotten his move back to Marseille with time winding down on the January transfer window. Marseille reportedly paid £25 million for Payet after selling him to West Ham for a little over $10 million a year and a half ago. Though this is a tight piece of business for the Hammers financially, they are not at all pleased about the French international forcing their hand. Chairman David Sullivan released a statement that begins, "The club would like to place on the record its sincere disappointment that Dimitri Payet did not show the same commitment and respect to West Ham United that the club and the fans showed to him, particularly when it rewarded him with a lucrative new 5.5-year deal only last year. I hope he has some cheese to go with that wine." Payet's return to Marseille follows the arrival of Patrice Evra, as the club currently sits 6th in the table. An amateur footballer in Scotland was sent off for ducking behind a fence to urinate during a match. Nature called for goalkeeper Gary White of Shettleston Juniors FC early in the second half of a match against Shots Bon Accord, but the officials wouldn't agree to stop the match so he could relieve himself. So he took a moment to do what he had to do. The crowd laughed, but the referee did not, and when White returned, he was greeted with a red card. While discussing this incident, former Premier League referee Howard Webb says he once showed Didier Drogba a yellow card for taking too long in the bathroom and rejoining the match after the second half had already begun. So I guess the lesson here is that doing your business in public is the difference between a booking and a setting off. And finally, the semifinals of the African Cup of Nations is set with Burkina Faso facing Egypt and Cameroon facing Ghana. Burkina Faso upset Tunisia in the quarterfinals to become the surprise inclusion in the Final Four, having last reached this stage in 2013 when they lost the final to Nigeria. Meanwhile, Ghana will be looking to win the tournament for the first time since 1985 after stumbling in the semifinals of the final in each of the last 5 tournaments. That's all for today's edition of The Goal Mouth. You can find more info on all of these stories by subscribing to our email newsletter. The link is in the show notes. I've been Brooks Peck. Darryl will be with you tomorrow. Same Goal Mouth time, same Goal Mouth place. I leave you now with today's Goal Mouth top tip. Always try to go to the bathroom during halftime.